ahead and dive in here. Okay, so welcome back for session 2 of Design Tools. This has to be my favorite session, my favorite part of the series, only because with what we're going to discuss today, we're going to take what we learned tomorrow and recap, and then what we're going to see today basically ties everything together. We're going to understand and learn how to use Studio Capture. We'll go ahead and do a quick recap of how you can get Studio Capture if you don't already have it. And then we're going to see how to actually incorporate your inspiration library with a couple of variations of platforms, including PowerPoint, which we have our native integration for. As you probably remember from yesterday, we mentioned that there are some other compatible platforms like Google Slides, InDesign, Canva. So I have a couple examples of those that I can pull up for us, and we can see how that operates with the copy paste method that Sarah mentioned yesterday. So with that being said, excuse me. Again, my name is Anthony with the customer operations team with content and enablement. And then we have our product manager, the architect of design tools with us today again. So Sarah, thank you as always for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Just in case you didn't attend yesterday, the one house cleaning item that we go over is how to submit your questions for the Q&A portion as we go along. Sarah and I will try to answer as many questions as we're going through all the content today. You'll probably be hearing me speak 90 miles an hour so we can get through everything. But if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to put them into the chat window, or the QA window rather. Hit that Q&A button in your Zoom toolbar. That should bring up this window right here. It says welcome to QA. Type your questions in that chat box right there, and we'll get to them as soon as we can, and we'll try to answer as many as we possibly can with the time that we have allotted. Know that this is in dark mode, so it might come up as a white box instead. It's completely up to you. Same box, same method. Go ahead and enter your questions in whenever you have them so we can capture them. Quick recap. So what we discussed yesterday is Sarah walked us through how we got here, you know, the journey from, feedback to an actual feature. Our why does design tools even exist? We discussed what an inspiration actually is, and that can be anything you need it to be. And then we also discussed how we create an inspiration in Studio Designer, either from images on our desktop or a file folder on our desktop. However you have that set up, you can upload inspirations directly into Studio Designer. Now, so again, creating the inspiration, this is what we looked at yesterday. There's 2 ways to do it. You can click on the new button in your left-hand toolbar, and that'll bring up, and you select inspiration from that menu. That'll bring up this window. If you're in your inspiration library, you go to Design Tools in your left navigation bar, click that Upload Inspiration button, and it'll bring up the same window. You can drag and drop your images right in this little upload modal here. And whatever the file name of that image is will automatically populate your description. Therefore, it's only really one field that you have to interact with in order to create an inspiration prior to clicking create, and then you're done. It's that simple. And that was on purpose by design. All right, so with that being said, Sarah, is there anything that you want to add before we jump in?
I just wanted to take a couple notes for anybody who may be joining us today that wasn't here yesterday on the why piece that you mentioned. We really wanted to design this with our designers in mind. We wanted to make sure that our solution really focused in on the problem statements that we knew we needed to solve for with this product. So we really spent a lot of time with our customer advisory group, understanding current processes and where design tools can leverage not only workflows of the individual customer advisory board members, but also building in this huge level of flexibility that accommodates many workflows, as many designer and design firms have multiple workflows that they follow, multiple sets of iterations that they go through with a client between the initial inspiration and sourcing phase to when they're finally ready to purchase an item for a room and move forward with an item. So we really wanted to make sure that the name of the game stayed front and center on our mind to be flexibility.
Absolutely. All right. So we captured some questions yesterday, the ones that we didn't get to. So I think right now, before we get into it too deep, I want to just grab those really quick, and I have them here. So one of the questions was, do we have an app for the iPhone? There is an app available in the Apple App Store or whatever. That mostly is geared towards the actual platform, and it's not as robust as the desktop browser version of Studio Designer. It's more for quick captures of like time billing things and a couple of odds and ends. I haven't been in it in quite some time, but as directly connected with design tools, not at the moment. But we do have on the roadmap mobile responsiveness. Why am I losing these words, Sarah? Will you want to speak to mobile responsiveness for me?
Absolutely, absolutely. So for those of you who were here yesterday, I made a comment about how the product process, not just at Studio Designer, but across product, at any company, is to really focus in and hone in on problem statements and solving problems and falling in love with those problems and not falling in love with solutions. So we know we have a mobile app. However, we're looking now and doing a very close examination of, is the best path forward to continue to grow out the mobile app as it exists today, or is our path to be more mobile responsive across all of our screens in Studio Designer? So we're looking at that. What are the functions between strict mobile responsiveness versus having an app where there's certain, as you mentioned, Anthony, restricted functionality embedded in that app? So we're looking at that. If there's anybody who has, strong thoughts and opinions, as always, from a product perspective, we would love to hear from you. So please reach out. We're happy to have a conversation and understand where you think, there's that tipping point between mobile responsiveness and a strictly Studio Designer app. So would love to start some dialogue about that.
Absolutely. Can we customize statuses? Currently, the statuses that are available for inspirations are what they are right now. That is ultimately the only statuses that can be assigned to inspirations. Unless Sarah can speak to any future updates concerning the ability to add more statuses.
Sure.
Again, most feature requests we welcome. In fact, just about every feature request we welcome and would love to be able to entertain. But Sarah, any input there?
Absolutely. Definitely the more, as I mentioned, flexibility, the better. So if having additional opportunity to add different statuses related to an inspiration that's in a client project or in a room, definitely interested in hearing that feedback. On the other hand, we have another functionality that's coming out pretty soon. I think I mentioned it and alluded to it yesterday, which is related to tags. We want to make sure that whatever your workflow is, that you can easily tag an item. That you can tag an inspiration. Let me use the right word within the inspiration library. So maybe a tag is budget friendly or antique or Anthony's favorites or anything that you would like it to be. So if the statuses are not necessarily in line with your current workflow, keep an eye out, look out pretty soon for the ability to also add tags. And that's not to say that in the future we wouldn't make those statuses drop downs customizable and add another setting in your company settings to allow you to change and make updates to those statuses for inspiration.
Absolutely. All right. So what about moving an inspiration to an item when there's already an item entry under the client? Many times we create rooms and room lists and items and entries. Oops, the question is going. Presenting a budget. Okay. So we probably should answer that one offline. That one's going to be a little more personal, but I'll make sure that we get the answer to that question. Next one, it looks like, can you guys add when we are sending out emails and with proposals and invoices, et cetera, to be able to upload other PDFs to the email? That doesn't, I'm not really sure if that's actually pertaining to design tools, but you should be able to add attachments currently to proposals and invoices. So hopefully that answers that question. Can reports be created based on statuses for inspirations? Now, this is a good question. Sarah?
Absolutely. So right now we are keeping inspirations and inspiration library in terms of design tools within the that area of the platform. So we don't right now have an integration related to reports, but what we are building out are more and more filters that you can view and add more filters on the inspiration library. Some of those filters that will be coming shortly are filtering by status, filtering by those tags that I mentioned. Right now you can filter by a client project or a room. We also have that search feature where you can search any term. And Anthony, I think it's worth mentioning, as we did yesterday, that search box on the inspiration library, when you search a term, it looks across every field associated with every every inspiration. So if you're looking at something like maybe you have something on First Dibs and you type one ST and then it filters down, it could be looking in the URL. But if there's a note on an item that said this is my first choice, you could then also return that because it matches the search term. So we're really looking at that flexibility, different areas there, but would love to hear from our designers where in the workflow some type of reporting capability would fit in. If the current filtering and the planned filtering is not satisfying that, we would love to talk about what types of reports could be generated off of design tools. So keep that feedback coming.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to answer two kind of in one response here so we can move on. But can you add load existing library, your existing library that is currently in a file on your desktop? And if so, can it be uploaded all at once? I love this question. The second question that I'll answer as well is, how can you organize the inspirations? Okay, so here's the first thing. We do have on the roadmap coming up the ability to bulk upload inspirations, multiple inspirations all at once. Correct, Sarah?
That is correct. So if you have an existing file structure, to Anthony's point, maybe you're doing it in a shared folder, we're exploring the opportunity to make it very easy in one click to take an existing workflow item like a shared folder for a specific client project and in one click loading that into your inspiration library for future use.
Absolutely. Okay, good. So there's that one. And then how can I organize your inspiration? Again, another feature that should be coming up. You should be able to, is it dragging and dropping the images in the inspiration library around in a particular order? You're going to be able to do that?
Correct. Yes, we are looking within that media library structure that maybe you have existing for your current client projects. We're looking to build a similar structure for inspirations so that when you add inspirations to a file folder in the inspiration library, in the media library, it lands in the assigned folder that you would like it to.
Awesome. All right. Folks, I hope you're ready because I'm ready. We're going to dive in here. All right. So with Studio Capture integration, this enables you to quickly and effectively grab any and as many inspirations as you can build for your next big design project. So you can import your inspiration library directly into your PowerPoint presentations. So there's this seamless connectivity that you now have with PowerPoint and Studio Designer, or design tools rather, in Studio Designer. And that's what we're going to see today. So we're going to start off with Studio Capture. What you might remember if you haven't used Studio Capture in a while or hadn't used it in the past at all, Studio Capture looked like this. Very clean, clean cut, to the point, very simplistic, minimalist. I liked it. I saw nothing wrong with it, but there's always room for improvement. So let's not kid ourselves. What the product team did, like I said, gave it a glow up, quite a bit of a glow up. It now has a better theme of colors, definitely more structured and organized in my opinion. And it's got the inspiration integration right there at the top. You can see this little toggle between items and inspiration is now available for Studio Capture. So I'll show you again later, but just to reiterate, on the dashboard of your Studio Designer account, you should see a little widget box that has the links to Safari and Chrome to download the extension from the relative app store for that browser. You can download Studio Capture if you don't have it already and get started in capturing inspirations or even loading in items to your Studio Designer account. So, the fun part. Let's jump over to this is the widget that I was talking about here on your dashboard. Most of you probably logging in every day seeing this. Chrome and Safari, click on that, and that will import the extension right here in whatever browser that you are using, and that will be the one that you're using for Studio Capture. So as we move to a vendor website for the example today, we're going to be using Holly Hunt. Always has great products to choose from, definitely a big variety. I decided to go with rug patterns today. I don't know why it's a rug day, but that's where we're going. So if I want to start using Studio Capture for inspiration, there's a couple of important things that we need to understand first. And that's when to pull up Studio Capture and the reason why there's a specific point you pull that up. So number one, if you you need to pull up Studio Capture when you actually select a product or the inspiration, whatever page the inspiration itself lives on the internet. If you're going to effectively capture that source link, you're going to want to be on the product or the thing, right? Whatever that inspiration ultimately is. So here we're on the Geo rug, right? Now would be the appropriate time to pull up Studio Capture. And I'm going to show you that, the reason why, and you can kind of see stuff is happening already, right? And this is only on the item side. So when you pull up Studio Capture initially, it defaults to the item toggle. So what we're going to want to do, click on inspiration, and now we have this interface right here. We have less fields to look at and enter things in. And as you can see, there's already information imported into those fields, as well as the image. Here's the thing. This is the reason why you need to be on the actual page. Like I was mentioning, we have integrated into Studio Capture the ability to import automatically metadata that's embedded into the website pages or the web pages of these vendors and across the internet. So this is literally the invisible information that is telling where the web page, where to display GeoRug and where to display the description and things of that nature, right? So the one thing to keep in mind is when you're using Studio Capture, it's going to try its hardest based on what it can read on these web pages to pull in the appropriate information. Some websites work better than others. I do want to stress and reiterate that it is not something that's broken with Studio Capture. It is how the metadata is laid out in these web pages. So, for example, Holly Hunt, it pulls over the appropriate description, although I might not want Holly Hunt in there. I might just want GeoRug, although it does not pull in the client description. It does pull in the appropriate source link. That way, like we saw yesterday, that little black bean button, you'll be able to see that in the inspiration and get right back to this page here. The other thing that it automatically pulls over is the first image. So whatever the main image is on that web page that you're on, it will also pull that over. And as we saw yesterday, we can still add multiple images to an inspiration. So for instance, if I turn my grabber tool on right here and I click in this box, I can come over here and click that image, and I also would like this one, and I want that one. And then in our carousel window here, you can see each image is already in that window for us to import into the inspiration itself. So let's just say we need to fix the description. It didn't pull what we wanted. Again, with the grabber tool on, client description box highlighted in blue, we come over here and we look at the red, we look for the red dashed lines around the section that we want to actually include in that client description. And we just click on it, and there you have it. Again, these nifty pull down tabs, I absolutely love those. We can get rid of that. And now we have the description, the client description rather, for the Geo rug already in there. So that was super, super duper quick. You might need to make a couple of edits depending upon what information is in the description. The next thing I want to go to, more information. So that populates two additional fields for us, and that is the price or the unit price, and then obviously the notes section, which is that lovely communication collaboration tool or forum rather that we've included with inspirations. So that is the majority of the information that you can capture when you're using Studio Capture for an inspiration. The other lovely tool that we have, or the field, if you will, is the ability to add to a client project right off the bat. If you have a project in mind, by all means, click on that button and you can type in the name of the project. Oops, there we go, design tools, and you can click confirm. Additionally, if you have a room on its own that you wish to assign it to, but you don't have a client project, that's okay. You can do that too. It's an either or. It's not contingent upon one another. But something that was actually released just recently, again, that is probably one of the more brilliant ones, is the ability to differentiate the same room name within a custom list. So if you have multiple custom lists and rooms in that list that have the same exact name, living room, dining room, you'll be able to differentiate between which list it is, which list that dining room or living room is in. So we can confirm that. One other thing, there's take a screenshot button here too, along with the grabber. So there's, again, certain websites will work with Studio Capture. It all depends upon who the actual owner of the website is and how they have set that up. So let's just run a scenario. If the grabber tool is not working, where I, highlighted the box here and I'm clicking on this information, or I'm clicking on these images, and it's not populating over here. That's fine. Turn off the grabber tool, take a screenshot, and you can literally do a screenshot just like this. And now you can see that image has been imported. So there's two ways. I'm not going to say the cat one, but there's more than one way to work with this. I don't know why that's even such a saying. Whoever skins cats is horrible, but in any event, there's two ways to do image imports when it comes to Studio Capture. You can take a screenshot or use the grabber tool. Either one is up to you. But again, here, let's see. Do we have a price? Anybody Sarah, you want to play the prices right and guess how much this rug actually costs?
Ooh, see, 7,000.
Okay, I would never pay 7,000 for a rug. My goodness. All right, cool.
I like it a lot. I might.
Awesome, awesome rug. But create an inspiration, and we can see this turning inspiration successful, successfully created, and it'll allow you to go ahead and create a new one if you would like. So if we jump over to Studio Designer, jump into design tools, and look up our project for design tools, we can now see that here's our Geo rug. It's now living in Studio Designer. And if we go to images and attachments, it's got all of those images that we captured. Let's just say this is the same thing. We don't need this one. You can remove an image and it's good to go. Let's say you want this as the main image. You can switch that out real quickly and reorganize what the main image is versus all the secondary images. Makes it super easy. Here's the source website. It'll take us right back to the Geo rug. We can sign up for the newsletter if we so choose, or we can continue to peruse Holly Hunt's website and look at all the other neat things that she has there. So again, super useful. This honestly turbocharges your design tools experience when it comes to capturing inspirations. It makes it super quick. It eliminates the need for a desktop file system that can get complicated, and it clogs the, like I said yesterday, when you're having to do tedious tasks. Design tools helps remove a lot of those tedious tasks so you can focus on what's important. That's creativity and obviously completing your client's project. So that is Studio Capture. Let's go ahead and look at some questions here. Are we able to import images from iPhoto to inspirations? Tom, I believe that is what is coming up in the next couple of updates. Not sure exactly where on the roadmap, but iPhone and iPad uh, file types, photo file types, the HEIC, I believe they are, Sarah, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Uh, those will be, from my understanding, uploadable, automatically converted to a file type that Design Tools works with, correct?
That is correct. Yes, those file types that are related to iPhoto, either iPad or iPhone, as Anthony mentioned, it's inherent to an Apple product. So that's actually a blocker on the Apple end. So what our way to solve for that and make sure that your very valuable iPhone or iPad photos is to convert them into a file format that is renownedly acceptable, like a JPEG or a PNG or what have you. Um,
Awesome. One other thing too that I'd like to go back to when creating a new inspiration. So we talked about this yesterday, the specific fields, right? Description, I'm sorry, client description, source website, and notes. Again, those are open text fields. You can jam as much information in those fields as you possibly can, up to 32,000 characters. What we learned yesterday. That applies to the studio capture fields as well, not just the upload window in Studio Designer. So again, makes it really easy to transition information over into Studio and capture it all at one time. I tried inspirations yesterday. Some websites did not allow me to grab them. Is there another way? How does screenshot work? Yep, awesome question, Teresa. Make sure that when you are using the alternative, the take a screenshot option, make sure your grabber tool says off. That might be part of the issue. Again, if neither one of them works, that most likely 9 times out of 10 is going to be because it's the website itself that doesn't allow that. I use a Mac, and for the most part, if I hit Command Shift and the number 4 key, that enables me to do the Mac screenshot. I cannot remember for the life of me how to do it on Windows. It's been way too long, but that might be an alternative if the Studio Capture one isn't working, and then you could upload it from your desktop. That would be the alternative. But outside of that, most other websites will grab the first photo that pops up as long as you're on. Again, can't stress it enough. The actual web page for the inspiration that you're trying to capture. Make sure you're on that. That way, the right metadata is imported. Otherwise, if not, it's going to import whatever's on that main page. So if we go back to the results over here, loading. 3, 2, 1. Nope. There we go. So if we're over here, I'll show you a great example. It's uploading nothing. Basically, Studio Capture is, I don't know what's going on here. That's what it's saying. It's just too much data. It's not importing anything. So you got to be on the actual inspiration that you're trying to capture. So hopefully that helps. Makes that easier for you. Let's see here. What if I want in my master inspo? I love that she's already using the slang term. That makes me happy. Inspo plus a specific client. Can that happen at the same time? Yeah, so it'll be in your master library, like your. Let's go to the images and files here. So if you go to settings, images and files, there will be a default folder for all inspirations, called inspirations, oddly enough. And anything that you've captured so far in inspirations, you can see our library is quite extensive as we've played around and tested and had a lovely time with it. All of those will live within that folder. So that's your master library. And then as we saw with Studio Capture and yesterday, you can assign it to a specific project, and that the inspiration will be attached to that project, but not like it is in an item, right? So it won't be in the project folder or the client project folder in this sense here. It'll live within the master library. It will just be attached to the client project when it comes to the inspiration individually to filter. Sarah, anything you'd like to add there?
Exactly, Anthony. Right now we have a big master file folder location for inspirations, but as mentioned a little earlier, we're working to build out the same functionality where inspirations don't have to live in the inspiration folder. They can live in whatever file folder structure makes sense. Not only, I do think also it's worth noting that in relation to that question, that a individual inspiration does not ever have to be tied to a client project. You could find something that just inspires you, and you're think in the back of your mind you're going to keep it in your back pocket until the perfect client project comes along that you want to assign it to. But an inspiration can exist with no client project or room assignment associated with it. If you recall from yesterday, the only two fields required to create an inspiration are the photo itself, the inspiration image itself, and the description. So again, Anthony, if you want to shoot over to Studio Capture, you'll see again in that for inspirations, you've got your little red asterisk that indicates required field, again, just on image, just on description. So it will always exist in the master library and be searchable, but so it does not need to be assigned to client projects. So I hope that also clarifies a little bit for that question as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, you can see the image automatically imports and the description, the Miro rug automatically grabs. So the less information that you have to enter, the better. Again, it's not going to work 100% of the time. I can tell you a website like Wayfarer imports a lot more accurate information. And again, that has to do with how their website is set up. So unfortunately, there's a limitation on on the accuracy on from web page to web page, but it does import a good deal of information. So it's essentially less than what you would have to type if you're, creating an item and typing every single thing in or copying and pasting every little field in. It does help, and we do with the ability to use the grabber tool, especially makes things a heck of a lot easier when you're trying to go 90 miles an hour and get through your procurement process or your creative process, whatever it might be. Okay, last question here. Alyssa, I'm hoping I got that, and it's not Eliza, because if not, I'm going to feel horrible. But you were asking, can you show the custom list room breakdown you were referring to? Absolutely, and that's a great question. So when we're talking about Studio Capture, you click on that add to client project. If you click on this drop down menu, you can start to see here you have Anthony's list, room 3. This is a great example. The way that it is organized that you'll see is dining room Henderson, living room project XYZ, dining room project XYZ. So it will essentially be the name of the room and then the custom list that it's in. That's how you'll be able to differentiate which room you're actually assigning to this inspiration. Makes it really easy to define what projects and things like that. And then when you go and filter, again, back in, if we hop over to the design tools and studio designer, you can see that, again, these filters, like we talked about briefly yesterday, you can search by living room project XYZ, and there's nothing. Oh, there you go. There actually is something in there. And if we go to dining room Henderson, there's also stuff in there. So it really makes its essential purpose is to be able to filter so you can look at what you need to, not have to look at everything. Because again, you have a library that's like this, that is pages and pages. And if we go to, if we do 100, this is going to be a lot. This is going to be overwhelming when you're only looking for a specific group of photos or images, rather.
And Anthony, I don't know that we actually talked about this, but one of the great things about that room and room list concatenation is if you're looking, you can type actually in that box. So if you're looking for master bedroom, so if you say, living room, master bedroom, you can see every instance within your specific workflow of how your firm is using the room and room list relationship. You can see all of the instances to make sure that you're putting it in the correct master bedroom, right? Or master bathroom, or as Anthony mentioned, right? There's probably multiple instances of a room existing within multiple projects where you may have a separate custom room list, you can also search in that. And to that end, if you flip back over to Studio Capture, you can also search within that Studio Capture. So if you start typing in master bath, you'll again see any master bath and then the, again, room list that it's associated with.
Yeah, exactly. And to be able to differentiate between Greg's, master bedroom sitting room and Anya's fancy new room test copy thing, it makes it that much easier to associate and tie to the appropriate room. Again, mainly for filtering options in the inspiration library. All right, so coming up on the next part, which is the presentation of your inspirations and the add-in that we have for PowerPoint. So what I want to show you really quick is actually how to download or upload or get, however you want to approach it, the add-in itself for the design tools integration. And in your ribbon, whether you're on the browser version or the app version, um, either one should have that add-in button and get you to the Microsoft Store in order to download that add-in. I will say this. So again, I'm on Chrome and I'm on a Mac. I have the app version of PowerPoint on my Mac, and I'm logged into the Chrome online version of PowerPoint here. The thing to keep in mind that Safari's browser, the browser Safari, I don't know why that's so weird to say, but Safari as a browser does not have currently the add-in available for the online. So if you were to use Safari, log in on to PowerPoint online through that browser, the add-in would not be available at this point in time. So we recommend if you're on a Mac like I am, use the app version of PowerPoint, which you could probably find in your toolbar or in what's called the Launchpad area. You should be able to find it as well. Um, so from this point, if we're depending on what mode you're operating in, go ahead and click the add-in button in this tool ribbon here. And I've already have it, so pay no mind to this at the moment, but you're going to come down to this little button here and click more add-ins. And then you're going to search Studio Designer. And then it should be in the first several results here. It pops up differently every time I do this demo. So this one, it's at the top of the list. So awesome, 5-star review. I love it. Click add. And then you're going to see that in a couple of seconds, it'll populate right here with our famous orange chair icon. So in order to get your entire library into your PowerPoint presentation so you can quickly put together presentations, click the button, and then it's going to ask you to log in with your Studio Designer credentials. So from my long list of different accounts that I have here, we'll select that one. And in a matter of seconds, you have your entire inspiration library in this side panel here, which makes it extremely easy to put together these presentations. So again, just like in your inspiration library, you have filters. You have filters here in the inspiration library panel in PowerPoint. So again, you can search for keywords. Again, let me pull up one here, do this one. So any word in any of these fields, you can search, and that will pull up anything that those words are associated with as far as an inspiration goes. So in any of these fields, if you were to type in planter in the search field, 254 in the field, anything that has that sequence, if you will pull up those inspirations associated with that. So you can use that here. And again, if you've assigned it to a client project, then you can select from your list of client projects and pull up just that. So what I'll do is I'll type in design tools. You can see as I was typing down here, it highlighted design tools. So I can just click enter, really easy. And that'll just give me everything for that client project so I can peruse that at my leisure. Now, here comes the cool part. This is how easy it is to add an image to your slide. Working, and there you go. That's it. Now you have all the advantages and tools to edit your slides that come with PowerPoint already, removing backgrounds, resizing, repositioning, what have you, adding text boxes. You can do something as simple as this. You can highlight, oops, that's not what I wanted to show everybody just yet, because that's one of my favorite new things. But you can highlight the description, paste it in there. Oops, come on now. There we go. Now you have your description for that image. Again, multiple images, right? The most important part of multiple images is to have it accessible everywhere across the entire tool. So that means all the secondary images live in the inspiration and the inspiration library. You can add multiple images via Studio Capture or when you upload via Studio Designer. And you can access all of them in the PowerPoint presentation. So this little icon here will tell you exactly how many additional photos you have attached to that specific inspiration. And if you click on that, as we saw briefly, you now see all of the inspiration photos or images that are attached to that inspiration. So you can quickly just click on it. That'll come over, click on that one, and it literally is just a single click, and you can start repositioning and building out, a mood board, if you will, whatever the situation calls for. You're the designer, not me, by any stretch of the imagination. So you're the professional. You do you. Okay. Now, as far as we go, as we're going along, I'm sure that most here that use PowerPoint or use a different platform, you have a branded deck. So again, big selling point. You can still use your branded decks and presentations and easily import inspirations into those slides. So before we move on with the rest of this presentation that we kind of put together to give you an idea of what you can do and how you can continue to get creative with all your inspirations, I want to show you a couple other platforms and the ease of access of using those platforms.
We Anthony,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. Before you jump off PowerPoint, I wanted to call out a couple other fun features that we have there. So one of the things that I think Anthony noted as he's working through this, you can be logged into the Inspiration Library and Studio Designer, the PowerPoint add-in, and Studio Capture all at the same time. So that should work seamlessly in your workflow. You should be able to be managing your inspirations in all of those places without getting booted out of one or the other. So that's fantastic. We love that. We want to remove those barriers for you. And then also, if you're working on a design team and somebody is in the inspiration library adding more designs and adding additional things and assigning something, let's show them in real time. Actually, Anthony, let me grab something and I'm going to assign it to your client project, which is design tools. Yes,
correct.
All right, so I can go ahead and add something. I've just added a new inspiration to design tools. If Anthony goes in and in the upper corner searches, a key search term, maybe within design tools, maybe say West Elm. Let's search something. Maybe you're looking specifically for something on West Elm. And you go ahead and search there. That is the new inspiration that I, in real time, just assigned to this design tools client project. So we could be collaborating in real time. I can be adding things to the inspiration library right in, and while Anthony is real time building that deck for us to collaborate with our clients.
Good call out. I absolutely forgot about the real time upload. That's a pretty cool feature. I totally forgot about that one, so I appreciate you adding that one in. Okay, so we're going to jump over to Canva really quick. So again, we have this queued up already. It's our branded deck. This is the platform that we choose to use. Now, we mentioned yesterday that there's a difference between compatibility and native integration. We have a native integration for PowerPoint, but we have compatibility with platforms like Keynote, Canva, Google Slides, InDesign, and I want to say that there's one more floating around out there. The only one really that I'm aware of is Wecora. That's completely separate. But as I mentioned yesterday, Had one designer tell me that she's completely replaced her Recore subscription, which I think is like $36 a month, and is now using design tools, which is absolutely free with any of our subscription tiers. So I think that's a pretty awesome selling point if you ask me. But in any event, let's go to our inspiration library. I want to use this one, so I'm going to just right click and copy image. I'm going to go back to Canva. I'm going to paste it. And there you go. Now, again, just like PowerPoint, you have all of the tools and creativity that come along with Canva to do the same exact thing: resize, reposition, edit, what have you. Let's jump over to Google Slides. Again, we'll paste, and now we can do the same thing using all of the editing abilities of Google Slides. And it works that way in InDesign and Keynote. It makes it really easy. Again, not a native integration, but I will say that, is it Google Slides and InDesign that we're potentially looking at an integration for?
That is correct. We're looking at all of these integration points: Canva, InDesign, Google Slides. We're looking at potentially having their version of what you just showed as the add-on, or I'm sorry, the add-in for PowerPoint. And we are looking forward to building those out and making them available in the future.
Excellent. All right, so let's jump back over to the presentation. So I've spoken to some designers that don't use a presentation platform, but they, are interested in maybe starting to use mood boards for their projects and stuff like that. So every designer is going to be different. We would like to accommodate designers as much as we possibly can, and continue to make Studio Designer efficient, easy to learn, yet maintain its robustness that it's known for, to support all different types of firms. So if we look over here, here's our mood board. Really, our themes right here are organic and warm. We have our color palette here. We have some photos from our inspiration library design tools project over here that we've incorporated to really just kind of capture that mood. You all know what mood boards are. I don't need to educate you on that. But something as simple as this, I'm sure most of you, if not every one of you, have probably a better idea or a better setup than this. This is just something that we put together to showcase the ability of the integration with PowerPoint that you can make on the fly really quickly. Again, I had another designer that we spoke with who has, I believe, in maybe 2 months' time, she had over 400 or over 350 inspirations that she added. She just went crazy and just started using this tool, and leveraged it in a couple of different ways. One was to actually, I mentioned this example yesterday, sat side by side with her client. They're both on their individual computers, and they were just adding inspirations like crazy. And then they would review the inspiration library, and she would put together the mood board presentation and send it to the client so she could look it over, and figure out, what she actually liked, what she didn't, and then they would start building the project from there. It can be leveraged completely differently than that. Another designer loves the ability to communicate and collaborate with her remote team. So the designer, she'll grab the inspirations, throw them in the inspiration library, and notify her assistant, a designing assistant, to say, hey, I added some inspirations. Can you please turn these into items? Which we'll go back through and show you how to create an item out of an inspiration again, like we did yesterday. But she loves to use that just for the collaboration and communication. Says it cuts down on time and money for her, and makes it really seamless. So every designer is going to use this differently. Personally, I'm not going to speak for Sarah, but for me, I don't even know what the extent of design tools can be used for and how it can be leveraged by designers. So I'm really excited to see how you all actually use the tool and what you can get out of it. I've heard other designers use it for to create schedules, like finish schedules or paint schedules. And so we're going to be diving into more of these use cases to present them to the masses here at Studio Designer, so everybody can get a feel and find how to better integrate it with their workflow. it goes beyond just adding an inspiration, but as a tool to implement in your daily operation of how you build out projects. Super useful tool is really the least I can say about it. That will again save you a whole heck of a lot of time when it comes to procuring your creative ideas and inspirations. So again, just one other slide. You can however you create your decks for presentations and design concept presentations. That is completely up to you. But again, it's really simple. Let's just say that this is probably a bad example, but let's just say you have a different image that you want to use for your finishes on this lighting fixture. You can simply remove this and click on this one, bring this one over, and now you have a new finish options to associate with this lighting fixture, or this one, if you will, depending upon what you've already uploaded. So you have your option 1, option 2, present it to the client and let them make their best decision. So with that being said, I'm going to jump back over to the questions. Sarah, do you have anything to add before we start knocking out some of these questions and wrap up for the day?
I think most of them, anything else I wanted to add or call out, I think is going to be answered in the questions.
Okay, good. All right, so Sarah is asking, is there a way to clean up the library, like removing categories? I have uppercase versus lowercase buckets with the same name. Can items be reassigned? Items or inspirations would be my first question back to you. But as far as cleaning up the library, it all depends on what you really mean by cleaning up. You can use the filters to only see what you want. Unlike items, you can actually delete the inspirations that you don't want or don't want to see anymore and aren't going to use. They're not that they don't hold that creative lightning bolt for you any longer. You can definitely remove them from the library altogether, or if it's a matter of capitalization with when it comes to a description or what have you. You have the ability to edit those fields at any time in an inspiration to make those naming conventions be more aligned. Sarah, anything you'd like to add to that question?
Just an additional clarification point that an inspiration can be assigned to as many client projects as you find necessary. And because of those different statuses, one client might decline it, but another client is interested in moving forward with it. And when you create an item from an inspiration, it does not transition fully out of the inspiration library. That inspiration still exists on the inspiration library. You've just created an item from it in one click. So it stays there. It's still referenceable within your inspiration library. It's still findable for you. It's just now you've very easily made it into an item to continue it on its life cycle into procurement.
Awesome. All right, so let's see here. Where is it? Would you recommend uploading all of your inspiration images first into the master library, and then from there assign the individual images to the respective items? So that really depends upon you. It depends upon the process or your current workflow. If you're creating inspirations and you're just trying to gather as many as you possibly can and then later create them all into items, you can absolutely do that. If you want to do them one by one, you can absolutely do that. It really all depends upon what you want to do and what your workflow is. Sarah, do you have any recommendations in that area too?
Absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes you design with a client in mind, and sometimes you just see something that sparks, and we wanted to build the flexibility that whatever works for your workflow.
Yeah, that's a good point. You mentioned creative control yesterday, and I think that is something very important to keep in mind. Is we didn't want to put you in a box. Designers don't work good in boxes, and so the ability to leverage this tool how you need it to work was really at the forefront of the overall design. So whatever works for your workflow, that's how you can use it. Renee asks, is there a limit to the quantity of inspos in the library? I assume it's unlimited. I'm assuming that it doesn't apply to the 32,000 character limit, but yes, it is an unlimited library that you can upload as many as you want, and we hope that you do. If you can try to break it with as many uploads as you can, I welcome that. So please, by all means, Renee. All right. Let's see here. So Tanner says the image that is added to the PowerPoint, is that attached to the website link? Can I click the image and it brings up the website? That's actually a good question, Tanner. I appreciate that one. Sarah, you want to take that one?
Absolutely. So right now it is one direction from that is data that is populating in the PowerPoint add-in is sourced directly from Studio Designer, your inspiration library. We are exploring the option for anything that would be, anything that would be applicable that you would need in the moment during those presentations. We want to open up and make available to you. So please provide that feedback. We want to keep this PowerPoint add-in slim in terms of offerings. We don't want it to get too cumbersome to use, but we want to make sure that with that balancing act, you have everything that you need. So we're populating currently all of the images related and the specific description. But if having that source link and being able to click into it is something that designers find there is lacking, we will examine that and look into that, adding that as well.
Awesome. All right, almost at time here. So two things really quick. So I said we were going to look at creating an image, or I'm sorry, an item out of an inspiration. So we'll use this as the example because it's got a lot of good information here. All right, we'll go ahead and put sales code, and I think rugs is one. Nope, but we'll just say fabric. So I know that's in there. Okay, cool. So now it's attached to this client project already. We have it, the status is new inspiration. What we're going to do is we're going to click on this chair icon over here, which only populates once you have it attached to a client project. Actually, you know what? Let's do a vendor too, so we can see that populate. Holly Hunt, bingo. And we're going to save this really quick and then click the create item. Now you can see it's assigned to the project, assigned to the vendor, assigned to the sales code, the three top requirements for an item. It's got your client description, your description. It's got that big old $7,000 price tag. Codes, you can see the source link that it's captured back to Holly Hunt's webpage for that specific rug. Images, it's got all of your additional images, including the main one that we have assigned and any notes that accompany. Awesome rug. It all imports. And yes, I would like to save my changes. And now it is officially an item in your item library. So that's how simple it is and quick you can create an item. I think we had we actually had some more questions pop up in the meantime. Let me see here. So Morosi, I think what you might be missing when you're trying to use the PowerPoint add-in, make sure you go to add-ins first. Click on more add-ins, search Studio Designer, and then click add here. That way that chair should pop up and it should always remain there once you've added that in. You won't have to do that process more than once. So do that and then log in using your regular Studio Designer credentials. Is there a plan to offer a specification platform? Sarah?
I would love to talk to you more about this. We want to make sure that anything that we have is fitting needs. So please reach out. Would love to hear more about what your idea would be to integrate this into with Studio.
Awesome. And then last question here, in PowerPoint, is there a way to reverse link a particular image back to Studio? So I think that follows the same vein as Tanner's question, where it's using a link embedded in the image to go to a website. But I think what you're asking, Kristen, is to have it link back into Studio. Currently, that functionality is not built in when you're using images of inspirations in the PowerPoint presentation. There are no links that go back anywhere, but as Sarah explained, that's definitely something that our team is exploring in the future.
And I know from conversation with some designers that we worked with that generally in a design presentation, they'll have one designer presenting and actually going through the slide deck with the client. And then if the client's asking questions like what's the lead time on that, the design, another member of the design team is looking in studio into the notes column to say that's a 4 to 6 week lead time, for example. So right now, that's the use case that we've seen most often, is that they're working together in teams and being able to kind of, one person sits in studio looking up the answer, the other person is actually delivering the presentation.
Absolutely. All right, well, that concludes. We went over by 2 minutes. I apologize. I'm giving you all the time back that I possibly can right now. If you need any help, please email help at studiodesigner.com. If you run into any kind of issues or have any feature requests, anything like that, any additional help that you need, direction, you can also use our Chat GPT powered AI chatbot, which will scan all of our knowledge base articles for you and provide you with the up-to-date, accurate information to help solve any of your questions. And with that being said, thank you so much as usual for joining us. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you so much. And you all have a wonderful day.